In October, for the first time in 18 years, oil production in the U.S. exceeded imports. Hasn't happened since the mid-90s, since the boom days. .com, Liam Denning here to talk about this. We have a story here talking about being a game changer, a revolution.
Yeah.
How big a deal is this?
Well, it is a pretty big deal. I mean, it confirms a trend that we've seen coming for several years, which is on the one hand, the exploitation of shale in the U.S. has allowed the country to reverse this long-standing trend of declining oil production quite dramatically. And then at the same time, as a result of both the recession and also a greater drive towards efficiency, the U.S. is just burning less oil than it used to. And so that obviously frees up more barrels. It means you're not importing quite as much and you are producing more. And, there are a couple of things that are going to flow from this. The first one, which is very much centered on the US, is you are going to see a growing argument to start actually exporting crude, which by and large you can't do right now. But producers, particularly in the Midwest, who are having to take discounts because there's a growing glut in that region, will push more for that. So expect that to happen. I think the bigger thing really is that what this will do for the global oil market is it takes a little bit of the fear out of the market. We've seen this happen in the gas market. We don't get quite the spikes that we used to get. For example, it's very cold outside today. Hasn't really done anything for natural gas prices this week because people aren't that worried about there being a shortage. And we're starting to see a little bit of that in the oil market. It's not as dramatic, but if you think about it, this year we've had big geopolitical things. We've had, a potential war in Syria with a U.S. strike. Didn't happen, but people were worried about it. We've had big problems in Libya, big problems in Iraq.
A lot of saber rattling around Iran.
Hasn't really done much for oil prices. The big summer rally we saw came off quite quickly, and in fact oil prices have bounced around, haven't really gone anywhere for about 3 years.
Right, and what does this mean for the motors? I know that I paid, for the first time, I can proudly say this on the Money Beat Show, I paid $2.99 for gas in New Jersey. I was very pleased with that. Look, what does this mean for the national picture, though?
It's the same kind of story. Look, it's not going to crash oil prices unless something dramatic, something bigger happens. I mean, one thing to keep in mind is if we do get a far-reaching agreement with Iran, that could really upset oil markets. That would bring a lot of barrels back onto the market. But my sense is that what we are going to see is we're not going to see a dramatic move down in oil prices, but at the same time it caps those spikes. It takes that fear out. It stops people thinking, I don't know where I'm going to get a barrel tomorrow. So you won't get those big spikes in oil prices. You probably won't get those big spikes in gasoline prices.
It's great you see gas prices at the pump going down. It's been going down for a while. Like I said, I paid under $3. But I remember the 90s. I mean, it was $1. It was about little. I paid under $1 in the 90s. I remember paying it.
Yeah.
Why are the prices, if production is up so much here in the U.S., why such a differential in prices?
One word, China.
Yeah.
Back in the 90s, China wasn't burning that much oil. There was a glut of the stuff. Also, OPEC's discipline was not as good. You may remember in '98, oil crashed to about $10 or less a barrel. That was largely due to the crisis in Asia that year and the fact that China was not such a big force. It was also due to the fact that OPEC kind of lost control of their cartel. They're a lot better about that these days. China is a bigger factor, which is why I'm saying the price may not crash. At the same time, that tendency to spike that we've seen in the past 7, 8, 9 years, that is also lessening out. And I think consumers these days, having acclimatized to a higher oil price, will welcome that very much.
All right, Liam, good stuff. Thanks a lot.
Thanks.